December 1888, Wyoming Territory. The worst blizzard in 40 years. Jake Blackjack Malone, outlaw, bounty on his head, face half hidden by frost-bitten bandana, was riding stolen mare through white hell when he saw it, a tiny shape in the snow. Apache girl, barefoot. Buckskin dress frozen stiff, lips blue, hair white with ice, half buried beside dead pinto pony, not moving. He should have kept riding. Dead kid. No bounty. Blizzard. Death sentence. But something cracked inside the man who hadn't felt anything since Leavenworth prison. He dismounted, knelt, touched her neck. Pulse, faint as a moth wing. God damn it. He ripped off his coat, only thing keeping him alive, wrapped her like a doll, tied her to his chest with rawhide rope, remounted, kicked the mare into the storm. 40 miles, no trail, no sun, just white knives of wind. Every hour he stopped. Blew warm breath on her face, rubbed her tiny hands between his, talked to her like she could hear. Hang on, kid. Just hang on. Night 1. Found abandoned trapper cabin. Lit fire with last match. Melted snow in his mouth, dripped into hers. She didn't swallow. Night 2. Wolves followed the blood trail from her frost-bitten feet. He killed 2 with Bowie knife, used their skins as blankets. Night 3. Mare collapsed. He carried the girl the last 12 miles on his back, feet bleeding inside boots, lungs burning ice. Dawn, day 4, reached his hidden cave in the Bighorns. Spring inside, bear fat, whiskey. He laid her on buffalo robes, stripped her frozen dress, wrapped her in his only clean shirt, fed her warm broth drop by drop with a spoon carved from elk bone. She never opened her eyes. 7 days, 7 nights. He never slept more than 20 minutes. Talked to her constantly. You got a name, little? 1. You Apache? Comanche? I killed men for less than $1. Now I'm praying to your spirits. Day 5. Fever broke. Day 6. She twitched. Day 7. Sunset painted the cave red. Jake was grinding coffee beans with his pistol butt when it happened. Her eyes snapped open, black as midnight, wild, terrified. She bolted upright, looked straight at him, and screamed one word, clear, perfect English. Daddy. Then collapsed again. Jake dropped the pistol. Coffee beans scattered like buckshot. He crawled to her, touched her forehead. Cool, real. She opened her eyes again, reached for his scarred face with tiny frost-bitten fingers. Daddy. You came. Jake Blackjack Malone. Man who'd robbed 12 trains, killed 8 men. Never cried once in 34 years. Felt his soul shatter like thin ice. He pulled her into his arms, held her so tight he was afraid he'd break her. I'm here, baby girl. Daddy's here. Outside, the blizzard finally stopped. First star appeared. Inside the cave, a half-dead Apache girl and the territory's most wanted outlaw became father and daughter in the space of one scream. And the man who'd lived by the gun learned to live for a 5-year-old's heartbeat. Day 8. The cave smelled of pine smoke, bear fat, and hope. Jake sat on a stump whittling a tiny horse from cottonwood. The girl, still wrapped in his shirt 3 sizes too big, watched him with huge black eyes that never blinked. She hadn't spoken since, Daddy. Not once. He tried everything, Apache words he half remembered from prison, Spanish, English, sign language he made up on the spot. Nothing, but she followed him everywhere. When he chopped wood, tiny shadow 2 steps behind. When he melted snow for water, sat on his boot like a kitten. When he cleaned his Henry rifle, touched the barrel and whispered, Daddy, like a prayer. He started leaving the cave door open. Sunlight poured in for the first time in months. Snow turned to slush. Spring was fighting its way up the mountain. Day 12. Jake found wild onions, made stew. She ate 3 bowls. First time color came back to her cheeks. Day 15. He bathed her in the warm spring. Scars on her back, old ones, whip marks. His jaw clenched so hard a tooth cracked. Who did this, baby? She just touched his scarred cheek, traced the bullet groove above his eye, then laid her head on his chest like it was the safest place in the world. Day 18, Jake carved her a doll from soapstone, gave it tiny braids with horsehair. She held it to her heart. Looked up, first smile. Tiny, crooked, but real. Jake felt something break open inside his chest, like a dam after 10 years of drought. That night he told her his real name, not Blackjack, not Malone, Jacob Isaiah Malone. But my ma called me Jake. She tilted her head, touched her own chest. He waited. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. Soft as falling snow, Luna. Then louder, Luna Nakai. Jake's eyes burned. Apache name, moon strength. He knelt. Luna Nakai, that's the prettiest name I ever heard. She launched into his arms, knocked him flat on the buffalo robes, giggled. The sound of spring water over rocks. Day 25. First thunderstorm since the blizzard. Lightning cracked the sky. Luna screamed, buried her face in his neck, whole body shaking. Jake carried her to the cave mouth, held her tight. Listen, baby girl, that's just the sky spirits dancing. They're happy you're alive. She peeked out. Lightning flashed white across her face. Another crash. She lifted her tiny hand, pointed at the storm. Daddy, make it stop. Jake laughed. First real laugh in 15 years. Can't stop the sky, Luna, but I can hold you till it's done. He sat on the log bench, wrapped her in his bear coat, rocked her for 3 hours while thunder rolled. When it passed, rainbow arched across the valley. Luna pointed. Daddy. Pretty. Jake's voice cracked. Yeah, baby. Prettier than any gold I ever stole. Day 30. Snow gone, mountain flowers everywhere. Jake made her moccasins from elk hide. Beaded them with blue trade beads he'd saved for whiskey. She walked 10 steps, turned, ran back, jumped into his arms. Daddy, I walk. He spun her till they both fell laughing in the wildflowers. That night by firelight, Luna did something new. She took his big calloused hand, placed it on her heart, then took her tiny one, placed it on his. Looked up. Daddy, stay. Jake swallowed the rock in his throat. Forever, Luna Nakai. Forever and a day. She snuggled into his chest, fell asleep to his heartbeat. Outside, the moon rose full and silver. Inside the cave, an outlaw who'd never had a home finally found one in a 5-year-old Apache girl who called him Daddy. And high on the mountain, the spirits smiled. Because sometimes the worst storm brings the greatest light. November 1889. 11 months since the blizzard, the cave had become a home. Smoke curls from stone chimney Jake built. Luna's laughter echoed off walls painted with charcoal horses, tiny moccasin prints beside size 13 boot prints in the mud. But peace never lasts for men with $5,000 bounties. 3 riders appeared at the valley mouth, U.S. Marshal Star, Winchester rifles, blood in their eyes. They'd tracked the stolen mare's brand, found the dead wolves, followed smoke. Marshal Harlan, Pike, meanest lawman west of the Mississippi, dismounted 50 yards out. Voice carried like a cannon. Jake Malone, we know you're in there, $5,000 dead or alive. Come out with hands high or we burn that cave to hell. Inside, Luna froze mid-laugh. Doll dropped from her hand. Jake's face turned stone. He grabbed the Henry repeater, checked loads, then looked at Luna. Her lip trembled, black eyes wide as the moon. Daddy. Bad men. Jake knelt, cupped her face with gunpowder hands. Listen to me, Luna Nakai. You are my daughter. Blood don't matter. Paper don't matter. Only this matters. He pressed her tiny hand over his heart. I will die before they touch you. Luna's tears fell, but she nodded once, brave as any warrior. Jake kissed her forehead, then stood. Hide in the spring crevice. Count to 1,000. Don't come out till I whistle 3 times, understand? She whispered. Yes, Daddy. He watched her crawl into the narrow crack behind the warm spring, disappear like smoke. Then Jake Blackjack Malone walked out to meet his past. Snow started falling again. Fat, silent flakes. Pike grinned yellow teeth. Smart man. Dropped the rifle. Jake laid the Henry down slow. Hands up, but his eyes never left Pike's trigger finger. Girl ain't here, Jake lied. Just me. Pike spat tobacco. We'll see. He motioned. 2 deputies advanced. Jake's mind raced. One chance. He dropped to his knees like surrendering, but his right hand flashed behind his back. Drew the hidden Remington from his waistband. Crack. First deputy's hat spun off. Second dove for cover. Pike fired. Bullet grazed Jake's shoulder. Blood bloomed red on buckskin. Jake rolled behind a boulder. Returned fire. Pike's horse screamed and fell. Chaos. Snow muffled gunshots like cotton. White turned red. 10 minutes of hell. Then silence. Pike lay wounded in the snow. 1 deputy dead. 1 running for his life down the mountain. Jake staggered back to the cave, shoulder pouring blood, whistled 3 times. Luna came running, saw the blood, screamed, "Daddy!" Threw herself at him. He collapsed against the wall, pulled her close with his good arm. "Shh, baby. Daddy's okay. Bad men gone." But winter was coming. Hard. Jake burned the marshal's badge in the fire, used Pike's own horse to drag the bodies far away, buried them under rocks. No traces. For 3 months, the mountain became a fortress. Snow blocked the only trail, 10 feet deep. No one could reach them. Jake taught Luna to read using wanted posters, taught her to shoot with a tiny .22 he carved smaller. Every night she fell asleep with her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat like it was the only music in the world. One night in February, northern lights danced green and purple across the sky. Luna pressed her face to the cave mouth. "Daddy." Sky spirits dancing again. Jake wrapped her in wolf fur, carried her outside. They lay in the snow, watched the heavens burn. Luna pointed. "That one's Mama. That one's my old pony. That big one. That's you, Daddy. Brightest star." Jake's eyes filled. He pulled a small leather pouch from his neck. Opened it. Inside, a tiny silver star pendant. He'd taken it from Pike's body. Fastened it around Luna's neck. "This is for my daughter, so you always know where home is." Luna touched the star, then touched his scar. "Daddy, you bleeding again." Jake looked. Shoulder wound reopened. Blood on the snow, but he smiled. "Worth every drop, Luna Nakai." She snuggled closer, whispered into his coat. "I love you to the stars and back." Jake closed his eyes, held her tight. For the first time in his life, Jake Malone wasn't running. He was exactly where he belonged. And high above, the northern lights blazed brighter than any bounty ever could. April 1890. Snow finally surrendered to the sun. The mountain trail opened like a gate. Jake knew they couldn't hide forever. Luna needed school, doctors, a life bigger than a cave. He burned every wanted poster, cut his hair, shaved the outlaw beard, dyed what was left with walnut hulls, turned black to respectable brown, took Pike's marshal badge, melted it down, made Luna a silver hair clip shaped like a tiny star, packed, 1 mule with everything they owned. Buffalo robe bed, carved doll, Henry rifle, coffee pot, Luna's drawings on birch bark. Then they rode down the mountain. Jake in a borrowed preacher coat 2 sizes too small. Luna in a blue calico dress he'd sewn from flour sacks. First dress she ever owned. First stop, Laramie, biggest town Luna had ever seen. She clung to his leg like a burr. Eyes wide at trains, saloons, ladies in bustles. Jake walked straight to the sheriff's office, heart hammering louder than any gunfight. Sheriff Wyatt looked up from his desk. Old eyes narrowed. "Jake Malone. Thought you were dead." Jake laid the melted badge on the desk, then pushed forward. A folded paper, adoption certificate he'd forged with a priest's stolen seal. "This here's my daughter, Luna Nakai Malone, legal, notarized, witnessed by God and 3 minors." Sheriff stared at the girl hiding behind Jake's leg, saw the star pendant, the way she gripped his hand like it was her whole world. Wyatt sighed. "Word is the marshal who came after you never made it back. Guess winter ate him." He stamped the paper approved, handed it back. "Keep her safe, preacher. Town don't need another ghost story." Jake tipped his hat, walked out a free man. Next stop, the schoolhouse. Miss Eleanor, spinster teacher with steel gray bun, looked Luna up and down. "Apache?" Jake nodded. "She speaks English. Reads better than me. Just shy." Miss Eleanor knelt. Luna peeked out. "What's your name, child?" Luna stepped forward. Stood tall. "Luna Nakai Malone. My daddy carried me 40 miles through snow. He killed wolves, he taught me stars, and he loves me to the moon and back." Every kid in the room went silent. Miss Eleanor's eyes filled. She opened her arms. Luna ran into them. First day of school, first friends, first time someone called her pretty instead of half-breed. Jake watched from the doorway, felt his chest crack open again. That night, in their tiny rented room above the Mercantile, Luna danced in circles. "Daddy, I have friends. They like my star. Tommy gave me a candy." Jake laughed till tears came, picked her up, spun her till they both fell on the corn shuck mattress. Then she grew quiet, crawled into his lap. "Daddy, will you leave?" Jake's heart stopped. "Never. Not for all the gold in California." She pulled something from her pocket, a folded paper. Crayon drawing. Stick figure man with brown hair carrying a tiny girl through white swirls. At the bottom, "My daddy saved me." She pressed it to his chest. "You keep this, so you never forget." Jake tucked it inside his shirt, right over his heart, where it stayed for the next 50 years. Summer came. Jake took work as a blacksmith, honest pay. Luna blossomed, top of her class, sang in the church choir, taught other kids Apache star stories, but some scars don't fade. One day at the general store, Mrs. Caldwell, town gossip, whispered loud enough for Luna to hear. "Shame. Preacher raising a savage. Blood always tells." Luna froze. Candy stick fell from her hand. Jake heard, walked over calm, picked up the candy, handed it back to Luna, then looked Mrs. Caldwell dead in the eye. "This child survived a blizzard that killed grown men. She speaks 3 languages. She can track a deer at 10 paces and recite psalms by heart. Her blood saved my soul. Yours could use some saving." He tipped his hat, walked out with Luna's hand in his. That night Luna asked the question she'd carried for a year. "Daddy, am I bad because I'm Apache?" Jake sat her on his knee. "Listen to me, Luna Nakai Malone. You are the best thing that ever happened to this world. Your blood is starlight. Your heart is thunder. Anyone who can't see that is blind." He took the silver star clip from her hair, held it to the lantern. "This star don't care what tribe you're from. It just shines." Luna smiled. First real smile since the store. Then she did something new. She kissed his cheek, soft as butterfly wings. "I love you, Daddy. Forever and a day." Jake held her till the lantern burned low, till her breathing went slow and steady. Outside, Laramie slept under a blanket of stars. Inside that tiny room, an outlaw-turned-father thanked God for every frozen mile that led him to this moment. Because some families aren't born. They're carried through hell, one heartbeat at a time. Summer 1898. 10 years since the blizzard, Laramie had grown into a proper town. Train station, brick, schoolhouse, even a library with real glass. Windows. At the edge of town stood Dream, Starlight Ranch. 2-story. White house with blue shutters, corral full of Mustangs, a sign hand-carved by Jake himself. Malone and Nakai, home of second chances. Inside the barn, 16-year-old Luna Nakai Malone, tall now, black hair to her waist, eyes still midnight, was breaking a wild stallion bareback, laughing like the wind itself. Jake, 44. Silver at the temples, scar faded to a soft white line, leaned on the fence beside Miss Eleanor, now Mrs. Malone. Yes, he married the teacher 5 years ago. Little brother Isaiah, 7, red hair from his ma, sat on Jake's shoulders waving a tiny Apache flag Luna made. Little sister Grace, 4, chased chickens in a dress covered in stars. Jake whistled sharp. Luna slid off the stallion like water, ran straight into his arms. "Daddy! Did you see? He let me ride." Jake spun her once, same as when she was 5. "Whole territory saw, baby girl. Proud don't cover it." That night, town fair, lanterns, fiddles, apple pie contest. Luna won first prize for her choke cherry jam. Judge, Sheriff Wyatt, retired now, walking with a cane. He pinned the blue ribbon on her dress, grinned toothless. Girl who survived the blizzard now feeds half of Wyoming. Your daddy done good. Jake stood at the back, arms crossed, eyes wet. Then the mayor climbed the stage. Citizens of Laramie. 10 years ago, a miracle walked down from the Bighorns, a man wanted by the law. Carried a half-dead child 40 miles through hell. That child grew into our brightest star. He turned to Luna. Luna Nakai Malone, valedictorian, future doctor, pride of Wyoming territory. This town wants to honor the man who saved you. Crowd parted. Jake froze. Mayor held out a bronze plaque. Jake, Daddy. Malone, for carrying love through the storm. He ate, forever. Luna ran to him, threw her arms around his neck in front of the entire town. The same tiny girl who once weighed nothing in his frozen arms, now strong enough to hold him up. She pulled back, eyes shining. Daddy. They want to name the new school after you. Jake couldn't speak, just shook his head. Luna took the plaque, turned it over. On the back sheet engraved, herself, to the man who taught me. Blood doesn't make family. Frozen miles do. Crowd erupted. Men removed hats. Women wiped tears. Children cheered. Jake finally found his voice, looked at Luna. Then, at the hundreds of faces who once feared him. I was a dead man, walking till a 5-year-old Apache girl screamed one word. Daddy, that word saved my life more than I ever saved. Hers, he pulled the old crayon drawing from his pocket. The one from 1890 still, kept over his heart, faded but perfect. This here's my real medal. Luna kissed his cheek, then turned to the crowd. Daddy carried me 40 miles through snow. I've been trying to carry him ever since. Fireworks exploded overhead, red, white, blue, gold, like the northern lights 10 years ago. Jake lifted Grace onto his shoulders. Isaiah grabbed his hand. Eleanor took his other arm. Luna walked ahead. Blue ribbon fluttering, 5 silhouettes against the fireworks. Later, back at Starlight Ranch, they all lay in the grass watching shooting stars. Luna pointed. That one's for the wolves you killed. That one's for the marshal. That big one. That's Mama in the sky. Jake pulled her close. And that one, baby girl, that's you. Brightest star I ever saw. Luna snuggled into his side. Same as when she was 5. Same as always. Daddy, thank you for finding me. Jake kissed her forehead. Thank you for waking up. High on the hill behind the ranch, a small stone stood under a cottonwood. No name, just a carved star. Every year on December 21st, the day Jake found her, Luna left fresh wildflowers, because some graves aren't for the dead. They're for the lives that began there. Outrow, voiceover, slow, deep Matthew style, pause at every line. He was wanted dead or alive. She was half dead in the snow. 40 frozen miles, 7 silent days. One scream that changed 2 lives forever. Daddy. If love can survive a blizzard, hit like. If family isn't blood, subscribe, ring the bell. Next Thursday, 8 p.m. EST, another heart explodes. Next, town hanged him at sunrise. She cut the rope with her hairpin and ran forever. Starlight Ranch still stands. The school still teaches. The star pendant still shines. Love doesn't just survive storms, it's born in them. See you in the next blizzard.